Stuart Nash.
Thank you. Tēnā koutou katoa. I must admit, Meka Whaitiri's words were saying, I very much enjoy working with Meka. We work very closely together. Labour in Hawke's Bay has never been stronger, and onwards and upwards. The Minister made a very good point, actually, and that's we should never be scared of working in co-governance model. And this is my third speech on this bill, and I've outlined the reasons why I support this, but the main reason really is the kaitiakitanga model and philosophy that Maori have around land management. I've always believed, and I've tested this a number of times with my good colleagues, that Maori have more of a stewardship role than ownership role when it comes to land, and therefore the ability to look to future generations as opposed to saying, I own this now and I'll do what's best for myself, as opposed to saying, this is here for future generations and we don't own it. All we are is guardians for the future. And I love that model. I think it is absolutely fantastic, and it's the way we should be managing all our native resources. But there is not a word in the English language that is beautiful and encompasses the philosophy as kaitiakitanga. But I tell you, I stand up here and I am fearful that one of the longest courtships is going to end in one of the shortest marriages. The Honourable Chris Finlayson, talked about how this had taken 5 years to get to where it is, extensive negotiations between affected parties. But the way that I read this piece of legislation is that once the Hawke's Bay Regional Council is gone, then this group falls over. Now, what we are facing at the moment is an amalgamation referendum in Hawke's Bay. On the 15th of September this year, we will know what the governance arrangements for Hawke's Bay will be. We will know if there are still 4 local councils and 1 regional council, or we will know if the Napier City, Wairau District, Central Hawke's Bay District, Hastings District and the regional councils are to be dissolved and merged into one Hawke's Bay Council. And the way I read the final proposal and put out by the Local Government Commission, it says that what there will be attached to this new amalgamated council is a Maori board and a Natural Resources Committee. What it also says is that Maori board will have a statutory limit of 6 years, and then it will exist only due to the largesse of the council. So I do not know where this committee stands in respect to the local legislation. Does it mean there could be possibly two Maori advisory boards? Because this is the way I read it. I have talked to Wairau extensively about this, and they have one of their advisory boards. The way they believe things is their advisory board will once again disappear, and it will be replaced by the advisory boards as outlined in the Local Government Commission's final report. Now, I might be wrong. I may be reading the legislation wrong. And if I am, then I'm sure the Minister will correct me.
No, I can't.
No, personally. You'll correct me personally, and I will seek to redress this in a newspaper article or something. But I do not understand how this fits in to the final proposal for Hawke's Bay Regional Governance. And the reason I say this is I had a look through the final proposal put forward by the Local Government Commission before I came to speak on this, and I saw no reference to this group at all. So I'm unaware if the Local Government Commission were even aware that this piece of legislation was going through the House, which would surprise me because, as we have acknowledged, it has been in the winds now, or more than the winds, it has been on the table for 5 years. So it is a very important piece of legislation, and there are people who have put a lot of time and effort into it. And as mentioned, I completely support it. So let's see what will happen there, and let's have a talk afterwards, Mr. Finlayson, and see where we end up with on this. The other thing I would like to say is these committees are fantastic in principle, and they look really good on paper, but the real test is if we can really make these work, is if there is the relationship between the council, not just the council, but the body itself, to make sure that people are working in partnership with good faith. Now, the way people tend to work in Hawke's Bay, by and large, is in good faith. There is no doubt about that, and that is my experience from being a Member of Parliament for 3 years, being outside and coming back. But I just hope that that same good faith is transferred from this board through to the Regional Council, and we can make decisions in the best interests of Hawke's Bay. And obviously a big one that is coming up, a very, very big decision, is the Ruataniwha Water Storage Scheme. And this is one where I know my colleague Mita Whaitiri has major concerns about it. I have no doubt that I do know actually, because I've been at a number of meetings where Mika has spoken about these concerns, and this is something that we're going to need to work through as a community to get the right outcomes for Hawke's Bay. And I'll leave it at that, but let's hope this works in the better interests of the Bay, because we are a province of immense potential. We are doing well in some areas. I must admit we didn't get the boom times when the dairy sector was going hell for leather, but as a consequence, we're not getting some of the bust times when the dairy sector is in the doldrums. But we've got the wine industry doing incredibly well. We've got the apple industry doing incredibly well. Red meat's doing well, and there are also a number of exceptionally innovative businesses that are taking on the world and winning from Hawke's Bay. So all I can say is onwards and upwards. Mecca and I are going to be here for as long as it takes to really drive meaningful change in Hawke's Bay, and I look forward to the next few years. Thank you very much.
Nuk Karaka.
A tēnā koe.